All right, I'm here with Alex, the founder of Alpine Rings. Alex, how you doing today?
Doing good. How are you?
Doing good, thanks. For those that may not know you, do you want to give a brief introduction of yourself?
Yeah, sure. Alex Carroll, founder of Alpine Rings. I've been an entrepreneur, I guess I would say my whole life, but graduated college in 2011 and have done a bunch of different ventures.
Right on. Tell me about Alpine Rings. What did it do? How'd you think of the idea? Let's start there.
Yeah, so Alpine was actually started by a different guy. I actually purchased it from a guy named Tim back in 2023, October of 2023. And then when I got it, it was just a very base level phase. Saw a bunch of like operational improvements, marketing improvements, a bunch of different things that we thought we could improve. So I had kind of a band of buddies who I've worked on a bunch of different projects with over the last 5, 6 years. So included them on the cap stack. We um, you know, just kind of self-funded it, bought the business, made all the improvements, and just went down the road of looking at it like, how can we look at this and extract every dollar that we possibly can to improve it. It had a little bit of revenue. I think at the time it was making 300,000 in revenue. And then at the time we sold it, we were at a run rate of like 2.4 million.
Geez, that is a huge improvement from when you originally bought it. What got you into entrepreneurship through acquisition? How did you know, maybe acquiring a brand is a better path than you than say starting it from scratch?
Well, it's funny, I didn't. I'd spent the last, since I graduated, starting most of the things I had done from scratch. And honestly, I think me and a couple of my partners who went in on this with me, we both agreed like, hey, this time let's try to buy something. Let's like have something with, an email list and a customer base and like just buy it in a place where we feel like we can make the improvements. So this is my first foray into actually buying a business. Part of it was we all wanted to do that. We wanted to get that experience, figure out, oh, doing due diligence on someone else's business is a lot more fun than having someone do diligence on your business. So we went through that process, and yeah, I would say it really has been, having started a bunch of businesses and then sold a couple before this. Buying a business is now like, man, it's so much better. You can use a lot more of your um, experience to improve it. We found than the other way around. It just de-risks it up front. That's what I love most about Acquire is just you can look at so many pieces of the business on the front end before taking like the massive risk.
Yeah. What was like the biggest learning? So you've started a number of different businesses and then you bought one. What was like the biggest learning in terms of the ease or maybe even the difficulty? Was it finding the business? Was it learning the operations when you didn't build everything brick by brick? Was it much easier because you didn't have to essentially chew glass for the first year? Uh, what was like the biggest surprise you?
I mean, I think the biggest value in buying a business was that like we had an existing customer base to interview. So like when we first bought the business, we just literally sent out like a Google survey to all the existing customers and then used that to inform the decisions that we made. And then that directed like, okay, these are the improvements we're going to make based on the customer feedback. So I would say that was the biggest learning in buying the business this go around is like the person before that spent the 2 to 3 years to build it to where it was, they went through all the pain of like, who is the customer? What do they want? And trying to build the product based on that. We got to like interview the customer, say, hey, this was the product that you did have. How can we improve it? And I would say that was the biggest learning, just being able to speak to his existing customers.
Nice. Did you change like the products at all? Did you have to improve certain processes? Was anything like essentially broken? You had to step in and rebuild the old marketing strategy. What was like the biggest unlock in the business?
I think the biggest unlock was just better UI, UX on the website, better offering, a lot of similar products. We introduced some new products. Just we used the Particle website or platform. I don't know what you call that, Particle.
Yeah.
But we were able to look at, okay, these are the existing rings in the market. For Alpine rings, we sell men's wedding rings. Which ones sell the best? Okay, let's get a version of that or a ring like that that we know sells. And then really it was kind of basic blocking and tackling. We improved the product photography. We did a video for every product. We really worked on our PDP to make the product page like as airtight as we could and really iterate and evolve it from day one. So we use the tools to watch people's sessions, obviously, and see how people interact with the PDP page. And we spent like 6 months trying to find the right balance of product market fit, what's working, what's not, and then just kept iterating the offer until the MER worked and we were able to scale ad spend.
Nice. So did you reduce like products? Did you simplify any aspects of the business? Like I was talking to another individual that bought an e-commerce brand. He said there was like 200 SKUs or something like that. And after he focused on just like the top 10, the business took off. Did you have to do anything like that?
No, we actually added we added SKUs, but I would say we focused more on the offer, right, in the marketplace of like how can our offer of this men's wedding ring compare to everyone else's offer, and then trying to adjust. So we would adjust the price of the offer, the slash out price, the cost of custom, all of these pieces. But honestly, the biggest unlock for the business is custom engraving. So we weren't offering custom engraving on the rings. And then once we offered it, we picked up an incremental revenue of like 30 to 40%.
Nice. How'd you figure that out? Was it just talking to customers?
Yeah, talking to customers and then just also other competitors in the market were offering that. It's a complexity that like I wasn't excited to add. Obviously, it's like another, you know, it's not the easiest thing to accomplish. So we just were like, at some point, the MER, we just couldn't get all the numbers to work. So we tried that kind of towards the end. And then it just unlocked the revenue we needed to hit the scale. So yeah, that was a fun $3,000 laser engraver made the difference.
Yeah, there you go. If someone's looking to go down this path, maybe they're thinking of building a startup from scratch. They're aware that you can buy a business. They're not too sure which path is right for them. Like, what would you tell them? Would you say, hey, buying a business is obviously better, but here's kind of two things you should know? Um,
I mean, buying a business is definitely better or improving an existing business, having done it a couple times. But I would say my biggest point to anyone that's going to buy a business or run a business is you need to know every dollar in and out every day of your business and how it translates to the P&L and L and the balance sheet in QuickBooks Online or whatever accounting software you use. If you don't understand it, you will never create shareholder value. You will never return money to investors unless you just get lucky. So that's my biggest piece of advice, regardless of what your background is with ChatGPT and all the resources out there, know your numbers. It's like when I emailed you guys my P&L and you guys give feedback, it's like you have to know it. And if you don't, you're never going to make any money and you're never going to make any money for anyone else, which means you won't be able to, continue to run the business.
Great advice. Let's move on to the acquisition. Sounds like things were going super well. You had tons of happy customers, millions in revenue. What made you want to sell the business?
I think from my perspective, it was like we wanted to buy a business. We wanted to see what it was all about, what that process was like, and then we saw with the growth an opportunity to just take a win. Um, we sold it for more than what we bought it for by a significant margin, and we just wanted to take the money off the table and move on to something else. So it really wasn't more to that. I mean, with any scale, we'd scaled it from 300 grand to 2.5 million. Scaling from 2.5 million to 5 million would have presented more challenges. So we were like, great, let's do something different. Um, I have another opportunity. So
Nothing wrong with cashing in the chips. I see it. I see it all the time.
and it gives a specific gambling analogy here is my wife and I like playing craps in Vegas. If you never take any of the chips off, you're always eventually something's going to happen. So we were like, let's just take the chips off the table.
Yeah.
Enjoy a win.
That's true. Right on. Well, tell me this first week you go live on Acquire. What were you expecting? How did that first week go? How many buyers did you talk to?
Yeah.
What did the process look like?
Yeah. Like I mentioned, the process was awesome. Once I submitted everything, it was under review. A couple associates on your team reached out to me with just like really valuable feedback on the listing and how we should, reformat and show the P&L and L and show all the different data. So that was really encouraging. Once we went live, I think I probably had 10 to 15 people reach out with different messages asking questions. So just made it exciting, right? Like we got it launched, we got feedback, we got a lot of questions. And the process was seamless right when we posted it. I would say like within a day, we were talking to multiple people.
Right on. How did you pick the winning buyer? Did they have the best terms? Did you get along with the individual really well? What made that person stand out to you?
Yeah, it was definitely like the first, like just the initial phone call. It's like they were the right buyer profile for what we were looking for and like surety of closing, right? Making sure that we felt like they actually had the funds. I think the verified funds on Acquire was helpful. So it showed they had significant, um, liquidity to purchase the business that y'all had already verified. So that was actually a really helpful tool that you guys offer. So really love that. And then yeah, just the deal terms. So they had all cash at closing instead of any seller financing after that.
Let's go to Gets.
Yeah, that's what you want. You don't want to wait. You want to wait a year for the rest of it.
Yeah. So you find a great buyer, great terms. How long was due diligence? How did that process go?
Due diligence was around, 20 days. So nothing too crazy. I had already had everything organized in a due diligence Google folder, right, with all the details. Um, right. And so I shared them on the Google Drive folder after the NDA was signed, and then we went from there. So yeah, I think from right when I sent them the access to the Google Drive folder, it took about 20 days.
Right on. So were there any hiccups? Anything that was difficult going through the acquisition? Anything at all that comes to mind?
Um, it was pretty smooth, almost too smooth. It's like, okay, what's going on here? No, but we closed, everything was good. I would say on the front end by being like putting in the time as an owner to like get organized and have all the information made the closing smoother. So I had the tax returns, I had the bank statements, I had the credit card statements, I had everything reconciled with certified accountant. So I had everything proven in there that was stated on my acquire listing. So I think that helped is just saying, hey, all of this is going to match what you saw. Here it is. And that really expedited the process.
100%. The more you can be prepared as you're going into an acquisition, just the more you're going to prevent any surprises coming up and potentially de-risking or derailing the deal. So
Yeah.
good job on that. Did you do anything cool on closing day? Did you celebrate at all?
Yes, me and my three kids and wife, we went to the Texas Rangers game. So that was fun.
Right on.
So that was like a fun, celebration there. But on to the next thing.
Right on. Well, if you were talking to another founder, they're looking to sell their business, they've never been through an acquisition before. What's like a couple of pieces of advice you give them?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest piece of advice I would give you is like, I think at Alpine Rings at one point we continued to pivot and had like, I think 30 grand of capital left in the bank to like keep going. And then we eventually found the unlock. So I think as a founder, sometimes it can be maddening to be like, is if I keep changing, if I keep iterating, like, will this work? I think at some point it's like you'll know if product market fit is there. But my encouragement is just to keep going and keep iterating until you've iterated to the point where it's either going to work or it's not. We kind of like got the last minute pivot, finally found the product market fit. So you never know where product market fit is right around the corner.
Love it. Well, Alex, what's next for you? What are you building next? Are you going to buy something different? What's next?
Okay, you asked. It's called Dig World. It's a construction adventure theme park where families get to operate heavy duty construction equipment.
No way.
Yeah. So I invested with my buddy who started it back in 2020. And then we just re co founded the company, and I'm about to break ground on the one in Dallas, Texas. We have a partnership with Dude Perfect. And then we've got Caterpillar Inc. as like our main national sponsor. So we're going to be opening parks in Austin, Orlando, Phoenix, and Tampa.
No way. How old do the kids have to be? I got a 5-year-old and
Oh,
he
nice.
loves construction.
Oh, yeah. So
Love
I
that.
got, I've got a 5, 7, and 3-year old. So that's kind of the age range. It's like 3 years old to 7 is like perfect. But I mean, you can go do it. Like it's so
Love
fun.
to do it.
If
Yeah.
you
You guys
see,
knock down a building or anything like that?
no, so like the attractions are call it on a 2-acre park. So you can dig an excavator. We have excavator games where you can pick up ducks and do all these different fun things with the excavator arms. And then this Dude Perfect section we have, you go up on a boom lift 30 feet in the air and do a basketball trick shot into like a 12-foot barrel cone.
Dude,
Uh,
shout out. I'm gonna come visit sometime.
I know you got to check it out. It's called Dig World. So it's the Dallas one should be open March of 2026. So it's coming up here. It's been a fun project. That was one of the main reasons of selling it, is that Dig World became a lot more of a full-time job. So now we're like, all right, this is what we want to focus on.
Man, I can imagine. Right on. Well, dude, I'm rooting for you. I'll put a link to that in the show notes in case anybody else has kids or just loves construction and equipment and they want to check it out.
Yeah.
Thanks. But Alex, thanks for coming on the podcast, dude. Congrats again on the acquisition. If people want to follow your story or just reach you online, where can they find you?
Yeah. I mean, you can find me on LinkedIn, Alex Carroll, or just follow us at Dig World. I'll be posting a bunch of content there. It's just like at digworldnation.com.
Right on. Alex, you're a legend. Thanks again for coming on the podcast.
Yeah. Thanks, Andrew. Appreciate it.
Cheers.